you take your the hand closest to the patient. In this case, I'm treating the left arm of Shifra, so I'm going to be using my left hand. I'm going to put that within the axilla, just distal to the GH joint. And then I'm going to... So, since I'm here, I'm going to be using my right hand. I'm going to put my thumb just distal to the GH joint, so position here. And then my fingers will be posteriorly, and I'm going to support the forearm of Shifra with my elbow and with my trunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my other hand supporting the humerus, so not here. And since, again, distraction na itong ibuhat, you're going to be pulling away. So you can do like that. So again, stabilize, and then imong fingers. Your thumb is anteriorly positioned. The rest of your fingers are posteriorly sa axilla. And then you just go. Since distraction siya. And then the indications of this ay, same sa kapag we discussed this earlier, initial treatment, grade 2 to test the sensitivity of the joint. And then for pain mobilization, grade 1 or 2 oscillations, and for mobility, grade 1. So that's it for PH joint distraction.
So next, level humeral caudal line in resting position. So it's basically like caudal, like what's caudal? Caudal, down, diba? So from the word caudal line, will be pulling the, sliding the joint downward. Pero in this one, it's in resting position. So its indication is to increase abduction. What is sustained during 3 minutes? Stretch, diba? Then it is the position, the humeral head, and posteriorly your position. Then our patient position is supine with arm in resting position. Same with the 5-degree abduction and 50 degrees horizontal abduction and arms, after it also. Then basically, ang inyong buhatan nila guys, right? You support the arms. Same man yung pag-stabilize kasi sa dapat ang arms yun sa inyong patient nani sa tunga, sa inyong elbow and sa inyong trunk. Then, katong ganina sa kaliya, yung to be pull away. This time, for caudal line, you're gonna be pulling it downwards. Then, you hold this one, there is a upper yung scapula. Ako ni mamaulihaw ko mamhain na. Dapat guys, dili maka-feel o pain ni yung patient. So, ang yung buhatan niya kay pa-down. So, like, pa-down na siya. Kadira, no? Di ba, ganina kaliya. Like, paana. Ang caudal line, pa-down. If ganan mo sustain nga pa, If oscillatory, kay And next, kay long axis traction. Guys, pag ganina kay resting position, this time is long axis traction. For the word long axis, you're gonna long axis traction. Long axis traction. So this time, guys, with the word long axis, you're gonna hold the patient's arm here kay diba ganina dito. This time for long axis kani mo i-hold, stabilize yapon ka here sa arms ng patient, then you're gonna pull it downwards. Nadira ninyo. Diba ang resting position, Kaya ka mag-hold. For long axis traction, diba traction going, like mag-pull away ka, padung-tubos, so like, sustain tong bigwag guys, ay sustain ka na. So, nadira.
Okay, so moving on to your caudal line progression. So, ang indication namin is to increase abduction. So, ang patient position namin ay sitting or supine. So, kung ang treating position namin kay stand on their feet and you have to stabilize their arms using your hardest hand against your trunk. So, nanin siya. first here, as a position ang arms. Yung abduct ang arms to 90 degree and then you externally rotate the arms. So, siya ang hindi mo So, yun siya i-stabilize here sa may and then your other hand kay yung ipon place sa distal acromion. So for mobilizing force, what you're going to do is you're going to your other hand on the distal acromion, you're going to slide the humerus in an anterior direction with respect to the letter fossa of the spine. So what the bottom is so basta you have to stabilize the arms here and because nakabukay na place sa distal acromion or sa proximal humerus application. So, inferior direction ang slide sa likod. So, for sitting position, position na yung button kay same yung napon pero ay hindi mo i-cradle ang arms niya and naka-externally rotate ang yung arms. So, abducted gabon siya, externally rotated. So, yung stabilize here. And yung other hand kay naka-place sa distal acromion. So, since pa-inferior direction mo ng movement, so, for glenohumeral elevation progression, ang goal ng indication natin is to increase elevation beyond 90 degree of abduction. And then, ang position sa patient natin kaya it's either supine or sitting. So for this stabilization process sa glenohumeral caudal line progression, pero ang mobilizing force natin kay instead of inferior direction, kay pa-anterior, progressively anterior direction siya with respect, against the inferior folds of the axilla. So again, ang mo i-stabilize niya ang arms, i-abduct mo ang arms sa patient, and then you externally rotate it. Then the other hand kay naka-place siya sa distal acromion of the patient or the proximal humerus of the patient. And then kay mo i-slide ang humerus pa anterior. Anterior, progressively anterior direction. Since elevation man siya, so pa anterior. So ang ikuha ko kay anterior. Yes, yes. So again, for elevation progression, anterior direction, and for caudal line progression, inferior direction.
So, ang position na kay between the sa arms patient and trunk. So, ato i-grab using our lateral hand, nanang dito. Then, when natagamay kay taas. So, then, ang kani using the lateral wall na sa hand, kaya ato i-push ng kamay. ang mobilizing force sa kay glide the humeral head posteriorly.
So for the glenohumeral posterior glide progression, so posterior moving posteriorly. So yung position na by supine. So in this case, this is for to increase your adduction or horizontal adduction at one side kana posterior gliding when approaching 90 degrees flexion. So so flex your patient into 90 degrees flexion and then you must try to bend yung elbow. So in this, kay you mo have other hand kay make sure guys na stabilize mo sa evaluation ng program. Dapat tayo yung bawal. Kaya yung other hand kay nasa yung humeral kaya isa kay nasa yung elbow. So what you're going to do is that you're going to push padung sa upos. So, kung ka-glide mo, push, yeah, oscillatory, salatan mo. Yeah, in other ways, guys, you can also use belt. You must try strap array, kaya i-push ito strap.
So for the anterior resting position, okay, basically it's going to be just the opposite. No, you want your patient to be in no position. Anya, same as kanina, you want to put some kind of support here sa ilang acromion process para mas equalize siya. Anya, what's interesting about this mobilization is that you will be utilizing your thigh na pwede ka move pa sa end. You're going to rest the perfect world, you must lower pa ang table. Okay, you're going to be resting their arm no on your thigh. Basically, by the way, an indication is that this is for extension and for external rotation. You're basically going to rest their arm on your thigh. With your other hand, okay, you're going to be doing the anterior gliding. So basically, and then you push slowly. Oscillation. And that's pretty much it. So next for external rotation. There are two ways to do this, by the way. Yeah.
So, the first way to do this is to have the disruption progression. So, dapat yung patient na sa end, kaya i-have dapat resting position. So, what is the resting position? So, 55 degrees abduction, yeah, 30 degrees horizontal adduction. So, ano na dito siya? Make sure to stabilize the sand. So, gamitin din mo to increase external rotation. So, yung buhaton kay first, if you externally rotate ang patient, kaya imo other hand kay nasa axilla. So, imo thumb nasa anterior sa imo shoulders, while the rest of your fingers goes posteriorly. So, ang motion ni guys kay padung diri sa kuan. So, 1, 2, anorexia. Oscillatory.
For the second method, it's basically good elevation progression again. Like nothing else. We're basically just doing the same nga katong ibuhat nila Neil, no? So if we're going to do it again, I need to do this way. Ang yung ibuhat again is basically in the external rotation of arm. Here, yourself. With this other arm, again, I'm just repeating. Okay, basically, iyan yung elevate ang arm sa iyang patient. Like this. The reason why this is the case is because nilinaw mo na hindi na naka-internal rotate ang arm sa patient while you're doing abduction. Kaya sakit siya and you should not be able to do that. So that's about it.
So using your lateral hand, stabilize ng daan from your process sa patient, and then sa inyong thumb, press down ng upper trapezius and then passage the posterior aspect sa vertical. And then push the body body, hindi siya sustain, and then respiratory again. And then for prone, siya na ang towel sa ear sa patient para stabilize pa ang acropian. Then alright, mo na motion. So stabilize ang acropian and then push this body down. Okay, so for sternal clavicular joint, we have bundle plate that is sternal side. For elevation and depression of sternal, then for transverse plate side, traction and retraction sa clavicle, then convex side. Ang frontal plate ng clavicle, then for transverse plate side, sternal. So ang position na is sa sternal clavicular joint in posterior glide, yan ang supine ng patient. Ako lang siya balik for
Attendance.
proximal and vertical. Posterior glide. Okay. Yung palm natin sa proximal and vertical. Kaya, immobilizing force is to push down. Then for superior glide, okay. Ang imong fingers, kailangan pa-flex. Kailangan siya sa out of space. So, ang imong thumb, kailangan kayo sa middle phalanx. Then, ang imong mobilizing force, okay. Ang clavicle, kayo i-push upward. Okay, so for anterior glide and rear glide, okay. Ang imong fingers, kailangan kayo i-singit mo sa gilid and thumb, so, i-lift your name ang clavicle anterior ng forward. Then, sa rear glide, okay. Fingers lang, singit mo ang fingers, then ang imong thumb, kailangan sa proper space sa clavicle and push downward. Okay, so that's all, guys. Sa book, my mind is testing na self-patient breathing level.
Shield.
Roll up to get sick. Punch my direct.
The aircon bagi discount ko.
Shit.
Reaction mo. When she comes.
All the food, bro. Oh.
morning, everyone. So today we'll be demonstrating the EPM for elbow and forearm movements. So here we have full elbow movement. That's on both primary and with radial and ulnar flexion. So here we have the humeral ulnar articulation, the stabilization with fixing the humerus, we have to keep the table using a valve or resistant slide to use the opposite hand to help stabilize the humerus. Ensuring muscle relaxation around the elbow.
Proceed with the demonstration.
But since it's grade 3 or grade 4, obviously the joint will be more stretched. So like that.
So sa ulnar, it's not like kay ang position sa patient is nasa
isa kahan kay atong ibutang sa iyang elbow na pita. So, paano? Tapos ang ato isa ka. Sir. So pain siya guys. Ang buhato namin is similar na po siya sa destruction pero naa siya i-roll. So, ang nato ay nasa dahil tapos ang natong isa ka gamot ko ay naka-analay mo siya sa atong isa ka. So, rest lang dahil siya sa so, pag-strap na to, i-roll tayo sa mataas. Nagin siya, mo nagin yung kasi dying ang patient. So, tapos, sa akong lingon, atong isa kakamot, is here sa elbow natin. Like, atong i-cradle. Tapos, our other hand is direct sa lunar natin. So, radial glide man siya. I-push na to ang lunar side sa atong forearm to glide sa radial side. Indications for that is to increase virus force. Virus going position gapon sa patient is naka-sideline and difference na lang is asa ang force na i-exert sa PT and sa asa ang positioning sa iyang hand. So, buhato namin is ang atong supportahan sa pagdami is the forearm. And atong asa tama exert of force is the lateral side of the humerus. So para makabuhat ako lunar glide, ang atong push is the humerus. Is to increase the blood flow since radial glide and forwards.
fingertips for the shoulder side, and anyway, ana ang fingertips almost to push the force upward.
Okay, so next I'll be demonstrating how to do the intramural radial compression. So on education, I mean this one is to reduce both levels of subluxation. So subluxation is partial dislocation. So ang bottom namin ay wala ng oscillation, so just one round, sustain the compression. So ang inyong bottom, so if let's say that the patient is suffering from one right side sa elbow subluxation. So you also use your right hand, then you interlock your thumbs sa iyong thenar eminence while you are stabilizing below the elbow here. Alright, and then yung mobilizing force is one mo extend ka sa wrist sa patient, pushing down while mo triangle supinate sa arm for arm. So, ano siya? There. Sustain siya ng compression. You just push para mabalik ang joint.
Next ay proximal radial dorsal ocular lens. Na feature yung incident of spine and breathing. As a patient put yung arm or forearm sa table, place a towel para cover ang bony prominence. Now the elbow should be in a relaxed position with 70 degrees flexion and 30 degrees supination. But before we do the glide, ask the patient to do the maximal range of motion sa motion. First, head pronation. So ask the patient to fully pronate his hand. Then place your, stabilize the core of the wrist, and then place your treatment hand sa kwan sa proximal radial nerve. Pushing by pulling the arm, the radius towards you as a dorsal glide, it will increase pronation. Next, ask the patient to fully supine the arm. Then using your thinner eminence, push the radius towards the patient. This will increase the supination of the forearm.
Okay, for the distal radial ulnar dorsal ocular lens, it's similar with the proximal, pero in this one, kayo must sit ang patient, and then the arm should be rested on the table, and then yung forearm should be supinated to 10 degrees. So, normal na siya, like resting. It's the resting position. So, the PP position should be ang stabilization niya kay sa ulnar. So, ang sa volar side, kay the thumb, like the thenar eminence, is this one, which is in the anterior part of the forearm. Mo niya ang stabilization. And ang pag-glide niya, kay same ra ang iyahang position sa other hand, on the radius side. And then for the, ang pag-dorsal glide niya, kaya you just move the radius value. This is to increase supination. And ang pag-increase supination kay opposite side is going forward the radius.
confidential.
Okay, so good morning everyone. We are free and we'll be presenting CJM for the wrist and hand concepts. Okay, so first we have your radial carpal joint. The concave surface should be the distal radius, while the convex surface would be the proximal row of your carpal. So in resting position, your arm is actually, your hand rather, is slightly ulnar deviated, and it's a straight line from your radius to your third metacarpal. The treatment plane is actually the articulating surface of the radius that is perpendicular to the long axis of the radius. So when you perform these techniques, you want to stabilize the distal radius and the ulna. So let's start with our first technique, which is radial carpal distraction. So we actually use this for testing, initial treatment, pain control, and general mobility of the wrist. So you want to have your patient sitting down, their arm on the table, you can place the pillow underneath, and their wrist is hanging over the edge. So as the TPs, the hand that is closest to the patient is over the styloid process because you're stabilizing the distal, ulna, and radius, while the other hand is over the distal row of the carpals. So to perform distraction, you pull. So this is distraction. The next technique, you have the general glides and progressions. So there are different indications. If you want to increase wrist flexion, you do a dorsal glide. But if you want to increase extension, you do a volar glide. For radial deviation, you want to do a ulnar glide, while to increase ulnar deviation, you do a radial glide. So for this one, the patient is also sitting down, same, but depending on the indications, you have different positions. So if you're doing the dorsal or volar one, the hand should be pronated. But if you're doing the radial or ulnar one, the hand should be at mid-range. So once again, the hand closest to the patient is over the styloid process, while the other hand is holding the distal row of carpals. So this one, let's start with the radial and ulnar. So for doing the radial glide, you perform it down. While for the ulnar, let's go again. So for the ulnar glide, it's going down towards the ulna because you are increasing radial deviation. But for the radial glide, you're pulling it up because you are trying to increase ulnar deviation. Then for the dorsal and volar techniques, to perform the dorsal glide, you move it up, while the volar techniques, you move it down.
So for the next procedures, partner. So for the next procedure, okay, we'll have the specific carpal mobilization. So it's kind of built on the previous procedure wherein katong glides sa radiocarpal. But for this time, okay, it's more specific to what carpal bone we're stabilizing and what carpal bone which bone will be mobilizing. So to mobilize, these are the indications to gain and mobilize full ROM sa specific carpal joint and to glide specific carpal bones. So in this procedure, okay, we have the patient sitting down, elbow hanging unsupported this time. So ganyan, naka-prone man to on the table. This time, kay naghang ang elbow, and the rationale for this is that if naghang ang elbow, kay may slight distraction forces na nagkuhan sa na-apply sa joints, so it's easier for us to glide. So, sir, for demo purposes, I'll be using the right hand. So there are two main concepts for this one. We have to increase flexion and to increase extension. To increase flexion, all you have to understand is that we use our index fingers to stabilize, and then we use our thumbs to mobilize. Sa increased flexion, the index fingers have to be on the molar surface of the concave bone. So, say for example, if
ang proximal bone or proximal row of carpals then the stabilizing index fingers have to be on the convex na bone, which would be the scaphoid, the lunate, and the trichetrum. And then the mobilizing thumb would have to be on the radius. And yeah, while na position kay the rest of your fingers will be used to stabilize or support the hand so that it's in resting. So, like this. And also what's important here is that ang inyong thumb pinag-overlap. So, say for example, there on the PPT, you'll see a list of the bones that you want to stabilize and mobilize. So let's do, for example, sa concave radius and stabilize the scaphoid. So ang scaphoid, it's around here man in front of the thumb, the pit. So this is the scaphoid, this is the proximal, this is the radius. So it should look like this. And then when we're doing it, we go down the right. And then when you're instructing the patient, tell them lang, it might feel weird. Okay. Sometimes we're not used to specific carpal bones to remove. So we'll run through the different bones and naka-list down. So we also have the lunate. The lunate is harder to palpate. So if maglibog mo sa lunate, when you ask the patient to flex, makita ninyo ang radial tuberosity or tubercle. And just distal to that is ang lunate. So nasa dapit sa tunga. So we stabilize the lunate. And then we apply a mobilizing force sa radius grapple down. This is to increase traction. For the scaphoid and trapezium trapezoid, this would be sa katong distal na part. So scaphoid, and then we stabilize the scaphoid, and then we have our the trapezium. We have our thumbs, the trapezium trapezoid unit with this. For the lunate and capitate, so same thing, but then we go further down. So lunate and capitate. For trichetrum and hamate, now tip for the hamate, you can actually feel them sa inyong tenar eminence, hypotenar eminence. So nangari dapit sa inyong buwan. So nangari dapit, if you press down gamay, you'll feel more of a bump. That's the hook of the hamate. And basically, we do on the trichetrum, and then we stabilize the hamate. So for increasing extension, we do the same things, except that this time ang stabilizing fingers kailangan nasa concave molar surface. So the thumbs then nasa dorsal convex. So if kanina we did dorsal on the radius and then index fingers on the scaphoid, this time ibalik. So index fingers on the radius. So if ganun mo kita, index fingers on the radius, and then so for this one we can do same pairings gamon sa bones. We have scaphoid and the radius. So let's do that lang. Scaphoid and radius. So thumbs on the dorsal of the convex scaphoid, and then index fingers on the radius. So basically opposite na sila ang pairings, guys. But then if mag-ibog mo, we'll still run through the other ones at that one. So we have the lunate again and the radius. So for the lunate, this time the thumbs na nasa lunate. So index fingers again sa radius and lunate. And then for trapezium trapezoid, the unit, and scaphoid, and then trapezium trapezoid. For the hamate and the trichetrum again. So that's it for kung namoy naligdan sa kaninga procedure. Kalibog siya, dili mo makatry o practice sa inyo And also, just be careful lang when you're palpating. Sometimes if ma-press niyo too hard kay magmulmul niya ang ilang nerves or mamugnaw niya lang kamot. For the next procedure, we have the ulnar meniscal circumferential articulations. So for this one, we found videos, sa book, wala man kayo pictures. So I found videos online, and this is actually called, ang tawag nila na testing motion also is the turn the key motion. Because it's like you're turning the key. So the indication here is to unlock the articular disc. So there's a disc man sa inyo kang ulna and sa triquetrum and sa pisiform area or sa kuan, which would be the meniscal or meniscus there. And then our purpose there is to mobilize that one. So although dili siya direct wala na. For next one, your skin in elbow, Achilles. Skin down.
Okay, now for carpal and intercarpal joints from digits 2 to 5. So the concave surface is the base of the metacarpals. While the palmar surface are the distal row or is the distal row of carpals. So the resting position, that's actually wrong. That would be, the wrist would be close to neutral. And then the shoulder blade, essentially central location of the carpals. And for stabilization, stabilize the carpals with the thumb and index finger. So to find the carpals, make sure it will be easier to start at the metacarpal and move your way down to figure out where the carpals are. So stabilize the carpals with the thumb and index finger of one hand and gaps around the proximal part of the metacarpal. So it look like this. So for carpal metacarpal distraction, the indications would be mobile arch of the hand, and you will mount your patient sitting with the elbow flexed and amputated and the hand hanging off the table. Again, for the PT position and hand placement, the thumb and index finger on the carpal stabilizing the carpal, and the other hand grasping around the proximal metacarpal. So the mobilizing force is proximal to distal traction of the metacarpal. So you would, since it's distraction, you're gonna pull away. You're gonna pull away. And it will look like that.
Okay, so now for the molar glide, it's pretty much the same as carpal distraction for the indications of head position. So, same round, sitting, hand hanging off with the hand donated. So, also this is same hand placement. So, thumb and index finger on the carpal. So in this case, I'll be using the cavity. You can find it here. Biggest one siya. Kanya, the metacarpal, we go towards the carpal, the proximal part. So now for the molar glide, so we push down towards the palm. So yan na siya. Yan na rin.
So, for the metacarpal joint trauma, it has different convex surfaces depending on the motion. So, for radial abduction and abduction, the concave surface is the metacarpal base, and the convex surface is the trapezium. For the palmar abduction and abduction, we have the concave surface, trapezium, and the disconvex surface is the metacarpal base. As for the resting position, it is midway between radial abduction and abduction and between palmar abduction and abduction. So, nakarelax na siya ginana. For the treatment plane for the abduction and abduction is in the trapezium. For the flexion and extension is the proximal metacarpal. Then always stabilize
position with his or her forearm in the table. Nya, pwede sa mo magbutang og towel for kanang comfort sa patient. So, imuhang position ani is the imuhang hand, which is the closest to the patient, needs to stabilize here sa trapezium. While ang imuhang hand na away sa patient is nag-grasp sa metacarpal sa patient. So, as for the mobilization ani niya is you have to apply a traction force along sa long axis. So, pull ka ani. Pull ka away niya para ma-separate yung joints. Nakira ka? Okay, mga siya. That's all for carpal distraction.
So now for the carpal glides, the indication of this is to include specific toe movements, and there's 4 different toe movements and 4 different glides. So just to review the difference between radial and palmar movements. So palm radial movements are parallel to the palm or the radius. So this is radial abduction, this is radial abduction. And then palmar movements are perpendicular to the palm, so this is palmar abduction and this is palmar abduction. Now for the 4 glides and what they include, the first is the ulnar glide, and that includes radial abduction. And then there's a radial glide that includes radial abduction. Then the dorsal glide includes palmar abduction, and then the volar glide includes palmar abduction. So for the patient positioning, it's the same. They're seated with the forearm supported on the towel. And then you want to stabilize the trapezium either by directly grasping it, or you can wrap your fingers around the distal row of the carpals. Then you want to place your pinna eminence, which is this part of your hand. This is where you will be, this is the part of the hand that you will be using to apply the force. You want to place it on the side of the metacarpal opposite to the glide that you will be applying. So what I mean by that is, starting with the ulnar glide, since I'll be applying an ulnar glide, I will place the pinna eminence on the radial aspect of the metacarpal, which is right. And then I will be pushing it towards the ulnar. So this is to increase radial abduction. Then for radial abduction, it's just the opposite. Place it on the woman's side of the metacarpal, and you want to go towards the abduction to improve radial abduction. Now for the dorsal side, glide. This is to improve palmar abduction. So you want to place this eminence on the palmar side, and then you want to push down. On the volar has a different characteristic. You actually want to place your thumb on the wedge space between your thumb and your index finger, and then stabilize the distal carpals. Then you want to bring upwards, and up proximally and radially. This is to improve palmar abduction. So again, the reason that the dorsal and the volar glides, you're applying the glide opposite to the movement you want to improve. It's because the thumb is a saddle joint, and in the frontal plane, the trapezium is concave and the proximal metacarpal is convex. So again, since it's a convex moving on a concave, the glide and the roll are opposite. So you're applying the force opposite to the movement that you want to improve.
So guys, we're going to be talking about the MCT and the IP of the joints of the fingers. Now, the concave surface is the proximal end, and the distal is the distal articulating surface. Now, the convex surface is the distal end of the proximal articulating surface. So basically, this means for arthrokinematics, the roll and the glide is the same. So next slide, please. So we're going to be doing the traction. So the resting position of the IP and the IP and the MCT joints are in like flexion or the flaccid position. So the treatment plane would be now for the treatment plane, your articulating surface. So for sa lab nemo, itong gamiton kay ang iyong index finger. So ang imong treatment plane kay imong gamiton is your thumb and your index. Yan na ay mobilizing hand or stabilizing hand and knee. So i-stabilize nimo ang iyang MCT. So distal ends MCT. So sa lab practicals or lab demo, magbutang rin ka tawag legit under siya kay para lightly flex. Makuha siya sa resting position. So imong buhaton for the index finger, ikutan mo yung distal end sa iyang MCP. So ang imong buhaton kay with sa imong treatment plane or imong treatment hand ay imong i-hug ang imong thumb o ang imong index towards the middle sa iyang finger. So sway gani ninyo dira gani ana inyong finger na feel ninyo nga naay distraction. So imong buhaton kay long traction. Diba? Feel ninyo. Diba?
So sa MCT and RD, like same radya to stabilize ang forearm arm patient naka-infant. Yan, because yung stabilize natin kung ang MCT dyan ang yung mga movable like MCP, bago mo ang MCP dyan mga MCP na bone, tapos proximal phalanx, yung mo at sa iwa, tanto lagi mo ang index finger. Education din nila na polar glide to increase flexion sa anak. Ang dorsal glide extension sa anak.
So likod kay same ra ba guys? Ang kinematics na same. So ang dorsal posterior niya ang palmar may flexion.
Okay, concave na ito ang i-move. Diba? Sa radial ulnar glide, may pag-defend din na. Deflect man eh. So kung adduction, ang first, second, kay direct pa middle side with the fingers back. Ang imong fifth ug ang fourth kay pasulod. Mao na ang ulnar glide na. Increase adduction sila. So sa PCAS po, if we increase man abduction, ang first and ang second kay pa radial glide. Ang buwan, ang fifth and fourth kay pa ulnar glide. So abduction. Ang sa middle finger, both siya pwede siya mag-abduct. Gets so kung mag-polar glide ka, dapat ang thumb nasa taas. So, kung asang direction, thumb nasa taas, paubos, polar. Kung dorsal glide, ang thumb nasa ubos, kaya ang thumb na tumigod para i-glide. So, auto save sila, instruction. Stabilize the MCP. Immobilan ang proximal phalanx. So, ako ituan, atong kuan, proximal phalanx, then ato ay glide paubos. So, increase section. So, para sa kuan, sa extension, ang atawang thumb nasa ubos, di ba anak mata? Diba? So, anak, instruction, then extend. Dorsal. Sa adduction, second finger, so ato ang gamit ko rin kayo ang index. So, kung pa-abduct tayo sa index finger nino, so, radial glide. So, kaya sa gilid, pull, then, pa-abduct, radial. Then, speakers pull, and pull na.
So anong kalimot guys kung magbuhat ganito mobilizing force ganito yung sa progression sa MCQ sa dapat ang tether elements ng thumb. So dato yung ingon polar ganito yung thumb na nasa sa outer side kay para ma-suit siya section. Yung kung extension ganito dorsal ng thumb yung kanadiri sa
That's all for our presentation. So,
So, good morning everyone. We are the group 4. We will be discussing peripheral joint mobilization for the hip and knee joint complex. So, for the hip joint, as you know that the concave is acetabulum of the pelvis, the convex is the femoral head, meaning the roll of the leg will be opposite. The resting position is there, treatment plate will be at the acetabulum, and the stabilization will always be the pelvis. So, this is number 2 guys. So, we'll start with the first technique.
Okay guys, so first we will be demonstrating hip distraction of the bearing surface of the glide. So the indications of this technique is assessment, initial treatment, pain relief, overall mobility enhancement. So the patient would lie supine with the hip resting and the knee extended to allow relaxation of the surface. And then let's remember from the previous slide, the hip resting position is hip flexion 30 degrees and then 30 degrees hip abduction and a slight external rotation. Okay, so the fitted position, ideally the table should be like level lang sa knee sa EP or like mas lower. And then I also, it's optional sad na you will use a belt or here. So ideally, na siya belt here, optional rin na siya for you to use that if mag-find ka sa mga overall na weight training tool. So ang inyong hands, ang hands ng PT should be placed here sa malleolized patient. And then, so the belt will be here on that, and then belt here, belt here, and then na here over your hand. And then, you'll do long axis traction.
Okay, so I'm going to be performing the other, it's the same as what we did before, but it's the other position. And it's the hip model glide, so you'll be wanting your patient to be in supine and same basically. Knees flex. Then from on the table, supposedly, or like, there's sources na mag-use mo ka blood from, we're going to be performing wala lang. So, supposedly levels at the what you're going to be wanting to do is putting your hands on the epicondyles of the femur or at the distal lower thigh. And do not add stress on the patella. So, the same thing, proper polymetallic mobility, straight back. Then, just relax a bit. Move backward. Or lean backward. That's it.
Okay, so the next technique that we're going to be discussing, that I'll discuss, will be hip posterior glide. So the reason why we do hip posterior glide is to increase flexion. If you remember, when you flex, diba, I told you it's convex and concave. If I move anteriorly, the glide is where? Posteriorly. So when you have your patient, you have to insert, please take off your socks. Okay, so before that, please tell your patient, sir, can you please sit down on the edge of the bed? So the way you do this, actually, it's almost like a Thomas test. So assuming that this is the leg that you're going to be treating, so if your plate is flutter, please must flutter your place, right? There's a belt there, pero because of general purpose that I don't have a belt, so we're not just going to discuss that. So sir, can you please move your hips a bit more here, okay? Then sir, please lie down. Okay, the point of stabilization here is the pelvis, but as you can see, the bed supports it. So then, what you want to do, there's going to be 3 points of stabilization. The bed, you give your patient one of his legs, so you can please hold here underneath. This is the second point of stabilization. It's very important that they're not wearing shoes, okay? Because if they were back, gonna po sa panasad. Okay. So you bring their leg. The open back is 30 degrees flex, 30 degrees type of arc, right? From here, you stand in the medial part. You bend on here. You support their distal thigh with one of your arms. You put and ask permission because this is a very sensitive area. Where you put your hand on the medial side, have your elbows extended, use your weight, bend your knees, bend and hinge at your hips, okay? And then you push down. Posterior glide, where am I pushing? Posteriorly, you look like this. Long and up. Remember that the hip joint is a very strong joint. So, unless osteoporotic in the patient, there's going to be some need of push na. Then you ask your patient always, sir, sakit mani. There should be no pain, just feel like a glide. Ha? So that was hip, posterior glide.
Okay, so it's basically the opposite for like so you're really wanting a basically create a position at the end of version nag-actually sa bed, nag-retire siya, and then let's just say for demo purposes this is the effective leg. So supposedly also mas better ang siya if well kay lugat yang there is some meeting na mag-reason, especially if lugat ang one there is a patient, but yeah, that's how it looks like. But I'm gonna modify it lang with that one. So you're gonna be same medial ka sa one patient, and you're gonna be supposed to have the same medial immobilize the patient, and then open the position. Then distal arc mo, stabilizing the leg, of course, close to your body. And your other arm or your proximal arm will be adding force downward. This is what we call anterior glide. So you're gonna position your arm, almost lang sa buttocks or like those sa one butt area. But of course, you're gonna ask consent first, guy. This part is also sensitive, especially if you're handling for like the opposite gender. So you have to ask consent. So you're gonna be adding force downwards. And that's what Isaiah said. This joint is very strong, so we're also going to be adding quite the force. So I'm going to be adding force. So this is anterior gliding.
You can use your weight.
Yeah, use your weight. Also, same as fully extended arm. Ayaw yung flat.
So in PGM, especially big joints, use your weight.
Basically, you're gonna lean forward.
Stabilization for this one, guys, you get a loose at me. So you grab just proximal to the yung line na dito. And then kaya with your own strength, hold down, pwede na saan mo magbalon and apply with, as Sir Albert said. So, like that, so nakasugod na ka sa open palm position, and then we're gonna progress the patient, example, the extension, kapula sa diha. And again, once you get to the end range of extension, you want to externally rotate the tibia. So, mechanical na siya. This is neutral tibia on external rotation, and you will. And as for flexion, kay you'll want to internally rotate the tibia. So, because flexion, as you get closer to the end range of motion,
So next slide is the femoral posterior glide. So patient position in here is spine line. So yung may instruct ng patient na, sir, saan kayo mo niiwan yung okay? So kanina guys, nag-convey pa niya siya na smart lock, pang-develop na to. So same ra, yung mobilizing force, kaya same ra, kaya posterior glide mo siya, posterior yung mga mobilizing force. So pag-stabilize ng mga lane ng part is, yung walang regular niya foot. So wala, pinto ka sa foot. Yeah, remember na lang sa body mechanics, samot na sustained na part. Right? Instead of sa imong wrist, pag nagbo ka mangusog kay buta na kapatuloy. So again, yung hand placement, yung work digits sa posterior sa proximal na gasher. Then ang imong thumb kay anterior sa anterior sa tibia. So again, ani lang dahil maniwait mo niya. Posterior din sa tibia. Ang process dito. Yeah, for oscillating, squat, then
would be the patellofemoral joint. So the concave here is the femoral cochlear groove, and then the convex is the patella. The resting position is 25-degree flexion or slight flexion. The treatment plane is along the concave surface of the femur, so and the stabilization is on the femur. So our first technique here would be your patellofemoral joint distal glide. So John will be my patient here. So when you're doing this, the reason why we do the distal glide is to improve knee flexion. So you might wonder, how is it now you would improve knee flexion? If you recall, when you flex your knee, where does your patella go? About down. Down is distal, right? Okay. So instruct your patient, hello sir. So you're the person getting the flexion, sir, and then you would sit, lie down on your lap on the bed. Okay. So ask your patient, my patient, wala naman ng sapatos, siguro may budget for sapatos, pero yun, do this. So because we have lap pants, we just use the lap pants on here. So we'll show that. Okay. So ask permission guys. So sir, I'm going to expose your leg. For demo purposes, it will be this leg, okay? And then if you were listening to what I was saying a while ago, it's 25-degree flexion. I want you to extend your leg. Can you push your patella? No. If you flex your leg, can you move your patella? No. That's the adjustment. Okay. So sir, just tell me if there's any pain in your experience, okay? Then what you want to do is this web here. You put it on top of your patella like this. Your other hand, support your other one. And what we do is just push slightly. Okay? The movement of the patella isn't much. 9 of the shot. The pivot plate is going down round. Okay? So Maura, that's your distal glide.
And next is patellofemoral, medial, and lateral glide. So patient position for this one, indication for this one is increased patellar mobility. Patient position is supine with knee extended. So for your PT position, if you're going to be gliding laterally, you're going to position yourself on the opposite side of the bed. So you can place the heel of your hand on the medial aspect of the patella. Sir, next you So, since laro ang kayo yung patella guys, guys. So please, placing the heel of your hand along the medial aspect of the patella, while the other hand is going to be stabilizing the femur. So you're going to insert your other hand underneath, and you're going to use the heel of your hand to glide it in a lateral direction. So like that. So in other sources, guys, you can actually use your fingers instead of your the heel of your hand. So with the fingers, you can do this using your thumb, glide it in a lateral direction. So there's small movements, makita niyo. And then pamedial, you're going to be using fingers. Pero book basement now will be using our heel of our hand. So if pamedial direction, you're going to be standing on the same side of the bed. So you can place the hand and the heel of your hand along the medial, lateral aspect of the patella. So for demo purposes, here lang sa kanina leg guys, kaya para makita mo. So same magyapon, stabilization underneath the slice, stabilizing the femur. Then the heel of your hand. The medial na direction. No more guys. lying, side lying, when the trunk is partially twisted. So imagine sir na you are having a pillow. Then the feet should be, the unaffected leg should be below on a resting position, and the affected at the top legs. So like that. Then the PT should be behind the patient with one hand below the tibia. Nakanan, so dito to the stabilize. So one hand below the tibia, stabilize it. Then the other, kaya sabi nila, ako lang ito ang pagkain na. Diyan ang sarap. Makita yung nila. One hand below the tibia and the other over ang clavicular head. Atong mga clavicular head na elevate. Then, ang base atong hand, posterior clavicular head, and the force applied should be anteriorly and laterally. So, kanan. Kaya guys, naman na siya ang anterior glide for the proximal fibular head. The next, we're going to do for distal fibular activation. We're going to do both anterior and posterior glide. So, ang patient and me should be supine or prone. It will depend if the limitations are so it is indicated when, just like I said, limited projections of articulation. If you want to increase the mobility of your mortise joint, which is the articulation of your tibia, fibula, and your talus. So, ang patient is prone support ang yan fibular joint. Ang main patient be at the feet of the patient with one hand at the tibia, around at the tibia, supports stabilizia. Then the other hand over at the lateral malleolus. Then the force applied should be backwards. Backwards ang base of your hand. Then, this is for limited contraction. So, find the knee, zero gihapon, for this downward, for limited contraction. So, for
Okay, next guys, ang allocated guys, nasa line of upper ankle, siya, and ang patient ay dapat supine. Ang contact structure kay Rosal Talas, ang contact ay ankle margin. And then, stabilize ay mag-use ka ang belt sa iyong leg. Assume ka na ng left knee. And then, mag-put sa long towel underneath sa ankle. So, ang first ay ang taloperal disruption. And then, after ang ankle, kaya dapat siya naka 10 degrees plantar flexion. Muna ang action position. Yung hands, kaya yung i-wrap sa dorsum of the foot. Kaya yung thumbs, kaya naka siya sa plantar surface of the foot. And then, yung kiki position after sa edge ng table, kaya yung table is, kaya yung karain mo towards the table. Okay, next slide, allocated dorsal or posterior glide. So for this, same hapon, nakasupply ng patient. At this time, make sure na ang iyang foot kay wala siya nakalin sa bed. And then after kay ang imong i-do kay imong isang kahan mag-stabilize. So diri ka mag-hold proximal with the lateral and medial malleolus, where yung other hand mag-hold diri or yung web surface or web space kay diri distal sa yung medial and lateral malleolus. And then yung harmony
the failure is shock cause the patient may assist the radiation of treatment. Managing pain and assessing vulnerability of infection and infection. So the patient is classified positions, straight and left, then assuming shock dynamics, then you need to put a towel under the scalp left, and then externally rotate ang hip, so back go.
naman in after. If we not harm equal to lang